Hi, I'm Troy.
And I'm Vicki.
And we are Empty Nesters Wine. Hi, welcome back to Empty Nesters Winery Podcast, Episode 12, Researching Wineries.
My favorite part.
This was the fun part. When we decided we were going to have a winery or a wine store, we started, well, we toured wineries long before that. but yeah, we did a lot of research by going to wineries, drinking wines, and that kind of stuff. So today, that's what we're going to talk about. Do me a favor and like this podcast and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Go to our Facebook page and like our Facebook page. That's where we get out most of our information. And I've been putting it out there the last few podcasts. If there's a topic that you would like to hear us speak about, wine related or something else, whatever it might be, drop a comment down below and tell us what you'd like to hear from us. We would be happy to oblige. That's what Empty Nesters Winery will be all about, customer service.
Customer service.
Pleasing our customers with awesome wine and fun times. And Vicky's wall.
Vicky's wall.
Vicky, tell us today at the end of our podcast, what are we tasting?
We are tasting a dry blackberry that we made.
Empty Nesters Dry Blackberry. All right. So researching wineries. It's a tough job, but somebody's got to do it. Vicky was the first one to step up for that.
Definitely.
And she drugged me out there with her.
We've been into going to wineries for a long time. We have gone just about every vacation that we've been on that we've found a winery to go to. We've gone to them Florida, drug the kids along. A lot of them had grape juice that the kids could try too. We've been to several in Missouri. I think our first one we ever went to was Stone Pillar, which isn't Stone Pillar anymore.
Turning Leaf?
I forgot what it's called now.
It's in Branson.
But we've been to ones in Nebraska. We were on a vacation in Nebraska with the kids, and our son was driving, and he got to be the designated driver that day.
So we just tried more wines.
Of course. We've been on our Niagara Falls tour. We went.
Cabo San Lucas.
Well, yeah. Cabo San Lucas. We didn't really do winery in Cabo San Lucas, but we did a tequila distillery.
Oh, was that what it was? I can't remember too well.
We've been to a few distilleries. We've been to a vodka distillery in Idaho. We went up to go to Yellowstone. We went on a day trip one day. Went to Weston, Missouri, and went to the bourbon distillery there. Let's see what else. Oh, Troy went on a trip with his brother and his sister and went to the Jack Daniel's distillery. Have their name written on a wall somewhere. We've already talked about our Wyoming trip and how we went to that distillery, the winery there. And we went to several local wineries in the area, up in Kansas City, Tonganoxie area. We found a new favorite that we like, real close to Lecompton and Lawrence. I'm all about going to the wineries. I love the atmosphere.
It's been a lot of fun, and obviously it's fun to drink wine and hang out and have a good time, but it's really cool to get the behind-the-scenes tours, the vodka distillery in, where was it, Idaho?
Idaho, yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool. They took us back in the back and showed us they make vodka out of potatoes, which everyone probably knew. But, you see how they receive in the potatoes and what they do with them all the way up to the bottling process. And it was really cool. And then we go to different wineries, and it's really cool because you can use so many different pieces of equipment to make wine. And some pieces that we have that others don't, and some pieces that others have that we don't. And
Yep.
It's really cool to to see. We went to a place a few weeks ago. They don't do their own bottling. They make their wine, and then this truck rolls in and throws up, like it's got a trailer, and they roll up the sides of this trailer, and it's a whole process.
Yeah.
They roll out some hoses. The wine goes through the hoses into the truck, goes into the bottles. It's a big automated thing. The bottles, they put the bottles down on this conveyor belt, and they chunk through this thing, and the wine goes in the bottle, and then they put a cork on it. It's all automatic, everything.
And then it gets a cap and a label, and then it comes out the other end.
Yeah, so people use their hands to put the bottles on the conveyor belt, and then it's not touched again by human hands until they're putting it in a case to go, because it's done.
Yeah, it was a really neat process. They let us come out and watch it.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always cool. Vicky mentioned that we've been going to wineries for a long time just for fun and drinking and hanging out and having a good time. But when we decided to start our own winery, we started looking at wineries a little different when we went out for tastings.
Right. We were always on the look for something new, whether it be, how they did their bar or how much they charge for tastings.
Which is really funny because I am terrible about noticing details. Like, I never noticed the ceiling of a winery until we started working on our ceiling. And I thought, oh my gosh, our ceiling is so stupid. This ain't going to work. And then we started going to other wineries, and I'm looking up, and some of them have the same ceiling as us. Some of them have worse or better ceilings than us. I'm like, okay, it's not so bad.
Yeah, there's all sorts of ideas out there, that's for sure.
Yeah, you just got to pay attention, and I never did. But yeah, so we get all kinds of ideas from other wineries, and like Vicky said, how much they charge for tastings and bottles of wines, and what types of wine that are made. We found a lot of wineries that we really like, and we found some that we didn't like at all.
True. Yeah, I mean, it's all everybody's personal tastes.
Right.
And so,
Vicky, speaking of taste, Vicky likes the odd things.
I like to try new things.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily always like them.
When I say odd, she married me. So
this is true.
That's the start. But yeah, a couple weekends ago, we went to a winery, and they had fennel wine.
Fennel with coffee. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't too good.
When Vicky saw that on the menu, she's like, oh, I got to try that.
Yeah. I also tried the cantaloupe, which was something different too.
So with the fennel wine, though, she did that classic, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Taste this to me. And I'm like, no. You told me it was terrible. Why would it taste it? I smelled it. It did not smell good.
I usually finish wine. And no, not with that one. But yeah.
So, yeah. What else out there? Strange wines that you've tasted?
Let's see. I found a place that had beet and carrot wine. Not together. They're two separate wines. But I had to go try those. Of course, I've had coffee wine. We had jalapeno wine, which isn't necessarily for just drinking. It's more of a cooking wine. But
it's funny. She does not like jalapenos at all.
No, I don't like
But she saw jalapeno wine, and she had to try that.
Well,
I love jalapenos.
I tried a little sip of your sip.
Right.
Which was plenty for me.
And then there's tomato. She doesn't like tomatoes.
No.
But there was a tomato wine on the menu, a few weeks ago. We went out to winery.
And it tasted just like tomato. I mean, I could see you cooking with it, but I certainly wouldn't want to drink it. Not anything against it. It was nice and clear and crisp, but
it was advertised.
Tomato.
It tasted like tomato. And I like tomatoes, but I didn't like this tomato wine. It was, I don't know. It was like drinking tomato wine.
Well, I think it would have its place. I mean, I'm sure it would go great in like a sauce or a marinade or something like that. But just sitting there drinking it itself, probably not so much.
Well, the winery that made it did a good job with it because it tasted like tomato and it was wine. So it was definitely tomato wine. But
definitely.
Yeah.
And the best part about going to wineries is that go with friends. You
That's
take
true.
somebody with you, and you make a whole day or a whole evening out of it.
Yeah, just a couple of weeks ago, we went to a winery, nice outdoor area. They had a band playing and a food truck, and we had 10 people there.
Yep.
Masked up and social distancing. But yeah, we were all sitting in the grass, just having a good time.
Yeah, I think between all of us, we ended up going through, I think, 10 bottles of wine.
Yeah, I think it was 9.
Was it 9? Yeah.
And there was,
Well,
yeah.
we did bring some back that we didn't drink, so.
But there was 10 of us. Some drank more than others, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, we went through 9 bottles for 10
And
people.
one of the bottles got a little spilled, too, but we won't go there.
How did that happen?
Oh, my clumsiness,
If you listen to our podcast a couple weeks ago, we were talking about how Vicky is a little clumsy. And yeah, she spilt a bottle of wine.
Well, it didn't help that somebody moved it on me.
$20 bottle of wine.
Yeah, okay.
In the grass.
It didn't all spill.
So those of you that partied a lot when you were teenagers would call that alcohol abuse.
I know.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun traveling to wineries. And the more you get into something like that, the more you take a wine tour. You don't go to a winery, you go to an area and see about 3 or 4 different wineries.
Right.
And we're getting a really good situation building around Lecompton. There's at least 4 wineries to speak of just within a few miles of us. Well, us and 3 others. So, and then there's some in Olathe, which isn't that far from us. So I think a wine tour to this area would really be beneficial for people.
Yes, definitely. And the nice thing about wineries, you would think that they're competing against each other. And in a way, yes, they are. But when you get that many wineries together, it actually benefits them all because you just make a whole event out of it. You take a group of people and you go from one to the next, and you just make a whole evening out of it.
Right. So now, if anyone out there is listening, all we need is a person to start a wine tour bus company. You can leave from Lecompton. You can visit 3 or 4 different wineries, traveling people around, and bring them back. And then we need somebody out there with a bed and breakfast to start one in Lecompton.
Yeah.
We'll have all of our bases covered.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing I do like about going to these different wineries, now that we're more conscious about how things are done, is that the camaraderie that you get with these other vintners, that you get in there and they take you back behind the scenes and show you their equipment. They want to talk shop.
Right.
You get to learn a lot of things from somebody else that you didn't think of, and then you could throw out things for them that they didn't think of.
Yeah, and the really cool part of it is, we're not even open yet. We'll be at a winery and we'll be drinking, and talking to the owner, and blah, blah, blah. But then we'll mention, yeah, we're starting a winery in Lecompton, Empty Nesters Winery, and their eyes light up. And like Vicky said, oh, really? Oh, you got to come back and check out our process. And it's a lot of fun.
We had one couple that was in Missouri. We were headed down to Branson with another couple, and the other couple mentioned that we were starting a winery, and they're like, oh, yeah. And so we ended up talking for an hour.
Yeah.
And of course they broke out this stuff that they had a batch of wine that didn't turn out. And so they distilled this batch of wine.
Yes.
So they turned it into like really strong.
Whiskey.
Yeah. And of course they had to break that out because they don't sell it, but they'll give it out to people that they know or... So we got to try that. It was basically like drinking moonshine.
No, it wasn't. Moonshine is terrible. This was like a really good flavored whiskey or something.
Okay, well.
But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. Winery folks or whatever, really friendly, good-hearted people, and it's always fun to socialize with them and learn from them and them learn, maybe pick up something from us. So yeah, Even if you're not starting a winery yourself, I recommend researching wineries. Every weekend, I mean, as often as you can, just take the tour. It's a lot of fun.
And numerous wineries have events that go on too. Like there's one outside of town that does usually a food truck and some sort of music every Saturday night.
Right.
And a lot of wineries have things like that. So, I'll look into it. It's a nice little event.
Did you mention Napa Valley? We went to Napa Valley. We went to San Francisco on vacation one time.
I don't think I did mention Napa Valley.
With my family, my brother, two sisters, our daughter. Yeah.
And your mother.
And my mother. And they're great people. I love them to death. We took a trip from San Francisco to Napa to tour some wineries.
Which was like a 3-hour drive.
Yeah, 3-hour drive in a minivan with all of us. I was fine. I was driving, but everyone else was uncomfortable. And we got all the way up there. We went to one winery, and wineries wasn't really the thing for my brother and my sisters. So 3 hours drive to go to one winery, and then we went back to San Francisco. But that one winery was amazing.
Yeah.
It was very cool. So, okay. Researching wineries has been a really eye-opening event for us, and it's been a lot of fun. And, thanks for sharing in our experiences with us. We're going to wrap it up here. And, Vicky, you said we had a wine to taste?
It's a blackberry. Dry.
Vicky, I've got a problem here.
What?
I already drank mine.
You sampled all yours? Oh, well.
I've got an empty glass, so fill it back up. This is one of my favorite wines. It's a dry blackberry. We put oak in it and vanilla bean. Mm-hmm. And so I emptied my glass before the tasting.
I do like the addition of the vanilla bean.
Yeah, it's... I
think it takes it to a different level.
I'm very proud of this wine. We made this wine. It's got a beautiful color to it. It's really... just amazing looking.
It's still drier than I like, but it's still got a good flavor.
Yeah, and it smells great.
It's not like super oaky.
It's a very complex wine. It's got a lot to it, like the oak and the vanilla and the blackberry all working together. It's very interesting, very, very complex. Or that could be the wine talk. Good stuff. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Join us next week for episode 13, Empty Nesters Winery Podcast.